What is going on, guys? My name is Sean Barnard, and today I'm here with MDBetting.com, here to break down another sportsbook review. Here I'm going to be breaking down Crab Sports, one of the more unique sportsbook that we've come across in this. Before I dive fully into it, I would like to recommend that you guys make sure you check out MDBetting.com. You can click the link right here in the description. That'll give a more in-depth written form version of the breakdown that I'm doing, that with some more specific characteristics and answers that you can get to your questions, as well as make sure that you are taken care of and getting the best possible sign up and promotions when you are creating an account and getting logged onto the app. So make sure to check that out. But I do want to dive in today and let's get into it. Talk about Crab Sports, which, as I mentioned, is one of the more unique sports books that I've gotten into over the course of the reviews. So here's a look at the interface here. You can see pretty cool, the blue and orange design. It is a little different when it comes to that. Mostly your traditional expected with there, whether it be the green and white or blue and white or black and white, that it is a little bit more plain than this interface here. So a little bit of pizzazz that it does add here. Before I get fully into it, I would like to recommend or make sure that it is aware that this specific sportsbook in Crab Sports is only available in Maryland. It is the 11th online casino or sportsbook and casino that has been legalized in Maryland. And it is also a partnership with Jimmy's Famous Seafood to help grow the brand. So it's entirely possible they're going to be rolling out some promotions that cross brands there. We're starting to see this in other areas of the betting sphere. An example that you can see across a couple state lines in Pennsylvania that has been legalized is Fanatics, was recently launched, and they in partnership with PointsBet. So you can see that they're kind of using jersey sales as a wager and a promotional technique. I don't know if seafood is going to be used in the exact same way, but a similar concept as far as attaching a sports book to a brand and the hopes that both grow together and things like that. So that's what we're seeing with Crab Sportsbook, Crab Sports Sportsbook. And as I mentioned, that it is legal in Maryland. It received its approval from the Maryland Sports Wagering Application Review Commission and is licensed by the Maryland Lottery and Gaming Control Commission. So it does pass all the checks that you need to make sure that it is legitimate, that you can take advantage of it, that it is the best possible sports book and can set up the best opportunity for you. So when you do log on to the app, which is crabsports.com, and again, you can check out mdbetting.com. That will take you directly to this website. If you click on the link in this bio, you will find your way to it and make sure that you are taken care of with the best possible promotions and everything else. So you're going to want to go to the sign up button at the top right. You got to create a username, a first name, last name, email, password, confirm the password. You also they're going to check the geolocation, make sure you're within the Maryland borders. You got to type in your date of birth, address, and then of course agree to the basic principles. These are nothing out of the norm, just the basics that are asked when logging on the sportsbook. We know it's a little bit strenuous when creating a new account on the sportsbook, but it is important. That is a key part of the safety, is making sure that you do abide by all the rules that are the case. So once you do that, you create an account, you would come back to the live to deposit money. It should be noted that the Crab Sports Sportsbook does only accept online banking and credit and debit cards. So in a lot of these reviews, I've broken down different ways, such as PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, that also they will accept that money. Not the case here on Crab Sports, that it is only, directly tied to your bank or directly tied to your debit or credit card. For the most part, this is what people use anyway, so it's not as big of a deal as it seems, that these are generally the most popular ways of getting funds into your account, but it is something to keep in mind that those are the options that it is provided. So now that you're all logged in, let's take a look at the actual interface itself. If you scroll down the left-hand side, you can see the options. Here are the popular ones. It does just give the main basics here. It is a little bit more limited than some of the more advanced sports books when we talk about the options. But not as much as it may appear. As you can see, the popular that there is the MLB, NFL, college football, men's U.S. Open, women's U.S. Open, WNBA, UFC, FIBA World Cup, English Premier League, and MLS. As well as if you scroll down a little farther, you can see all the options. So there are some more the niche sports that are offered here, whether it be darts, cycling, futsal, handball, MMA, rugby, snooker, volleyball. All these things are options here. So you can make sure that you're getting just about whatever you want when it comes to these standards. So let's dive fully into it now. Let's take a look at how you would place a wager here on Crab Sports. Let's go down to football here, that we know NFL season right around the corner, and I want to make sure I'm clicking on NFL. It also offers lines for Canadian football, which is interesting. I'm a little surprised by that as well. But here is the options. This is the week 1 slate that we are looking at when it comes to the NFL. There's a lot of buzz about the Baltimore Ravens this year in camp. I'm feeling really confident about them. They got an easy opponent when it comes to the Houston Texans in week 1. The Ravens, as you can see, significant favorites. They are minus 526 on the money line, minus 101 on the spread at minus 10.5 point favorites. The over-under set at 43.5. One thing that should be noted is that in a lot of the sportsbook, there is a difference in the mindset of whether it is the traditional standardized lines. And what I mean by that is generally spreads are -110, the over-under at -110 or -120, sometimes -115 and -105. But that isn't the case here on Crab Sports, that there's a little bit more variability into it. And as you can see, -101 on the Ravens spread here. Here's an even one with the Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns, each at -114. But generally, they're going to be different. If you want to even scroll down as far as the Vikings and Buccaneers, this is a pretty different one in -101 for the spread on the Buccaneers and -130 on the spread in the Vikings at 5.5-point favorites there. So a little bit of something to keep in mind there. But regardless, I'm feeling really confident about the Ravens to win by 11 points or more. So I'm going to take that -10.5, click that. That is going to go right up here into my bet slip. It automatically sets you up with a $10 wager that is there. I did not mention it at the beginning, but there is a $10 minimum deposit here on Crab Sports, but there is not a limit for how little or how much you can bet on the app itself. So $10 is what pops up. You can control it by clicking the plus and minus for how much or how little you want. Once you get below the $5 that it does go down by one, so that makes it easier. Or you can also just type out yourself. So if I want to bet 1250 here, so that would lead to a potential payout of 24.88. That is how you do it. You just simply click the place bet button, and then it is ultimately added to your bet slip. Now, if I wanted to go and place a parlay here, which let's say I'm really feeling the Maryland area teams, and I want to include the Washington Commanders on the mix, who of course there is a lot of buzz coming out into the season, more so than usual. And here's their line here. They are -333 favorites on the money line against the Arizona Cardinals. They're 7.5-point favorites and plus 100 on the line for the spread there. One of the reasons for the buzz about the Commanders is we know the Daniel Snyder era is over finally, that Josh Harris will be taking control of the team. And they're also facing a poor Arizona Cardinal team without Kyler Murray, with some uncertainty at quarterback. So I'm feeling confident about this as well. When you add it there, both these are added as straight bets. So you can see the Ravens as -110 at -101 odds, and the Commanders as 7.5-point favorite at plus 100 odds. So if I were to click the $10 here, that this would place them directly as straight bets. This is them individually, so $10 and $12.50 here. Or I could click the parlay button right here, and that pumps them and adds them together. So the total odds for both these games would be plus 298. So a $10 wager would lead to a potential payout of 39.80, and that is the way that you go about a parlay. You can add as many legs to that as well. And as I mentioned about the bonuses, is right here there is a parlay boost that you can add legs to your parlay to get a boost. There's obviously some standards and things that you have to follow when it comes to that, but these are offered when you're already enrolled. So these are something to keep in mind. And the way we go about checking that is in promotion. So make sure to check out mdbetting.com for especially the welcome promotion, which is typically when you get the most bang for your buck and the most free coin to use and try and convert into more money in the long run. But while you're checking, you should always take a check under the promotions category as well. Now, it is not just the solo game day bets that you can wager. There also are futures on the app. Let's head over to the basketball side of things, jump over to the NBA and jump into those futures. So if I go into the USA here, NBA, and let's go into the NBA awards. Let's go directly into that. So NBA awards, boom, jumping into that. And let's see. So the Washington Wizards, not a ton going with them, a little bit in limbo as far as what their future entails. But let's say I'm still feeling super optimistic. I think some guys are going to take a leap for them this year. I don't know if anybody's in the realm of MVP, but let's say we'll give it to a former Wizard that I think has a chance to explode this year. Bradley Beal, finally free from Washington. He's of course in Phoenix. He's going to be competitive with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker for shots, but there is no doubts about the talent that Bradley Beal is as a scorer. So if I'm going to add Bradley Beal for MVP, plus 7,900 odds there, so a $10 bet will lead to a potential wager of $800. So that is how you would follow along with a feature, and instead of just a one and done 1 week thing, that you can follow that the length of the season to make sure that you are in the mix, watching, keeping tracks. And as far as the futures in the NBA section, you can also jump into the Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and just about all the other awards. Rookie of the Year, if you're feeling optimistic about one of those, Sixth Man of the Year, all these things. So there is plenty of options, and that does go across all sports. Couple other notes that I did want to make. Number one, there is merch offered here on crabsports.com. I will say it is pretty cool looking with the crab logo, things like that are on each of their products. and the Crab Collab Club. So one of the cooler things that I do think in regards to this app is traditionally when you go through the sports books across the country, and as much as there's such a strict legal process in making sure that they are following all the rules and that they kind of stay in their own lane, Crab Sports is breaking that a little bit and by partnering up with local business and really becoming a part of Maryland in a way that is difficult to do from a sportsbook standpoint. If you would like to nominate a business to get in touch with the partnership, you can email them at support@crabsports.com. As I mentioned, Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the original that has been open since 1974. They are the biggest one tied to this, but there's a couple other options that they do promote. The Blue Crabs, the looks like a minor league baseball team in Maryland, so something that's pretty cool that is tied to there and interesting as well as a couple other local shops. So that is one of the cooler things that I will say in regards to Crab Sports is them making an effort to kind of be involved in the community with that. As far as the sports book as a whole, it is difficult to kind of compare it to these things. The unfortunate reality is I think in the long run that this will be swallowed up by the bigger entities when it comes to the FanDuel, the DraftKings. But I do like the aspect of more of a homegrown, more familiar feel. And it does have everything that you could possibly want in terms of, the wagers that you could hope for, all the options for betting, the parlays, the futures, and all those things. Customer support, there's a little bit of an uncertainty there. The website does offer a place. There's an email, which is support@crabsports.com, but there's no phone number listed. There's no 24/7 chat, which is often offered at these sports books. So it is a little more difficult to get in touch with people and a little slower process. So I will take points off there. As far as functionality, it is a little bit middle of the package in the usage for it. If you feel good about the odds, if you want to stay connected to Maryland, I do think it is an option. It is not something I'm going to say for people to never use, but I wouldn't say I would go out of my way to, fly to the Maryland border to make sure I'm using this as my sports book. I do like what Crab Sports is doing. It is cool to see kind of an outside of the box perspective and then making a more local tied sports book. But it is just difficult, and that tech is king when it comes to what is the biggest priority for these sports books. So I think that the DraftKings, the FanDuels, the Caesars, even the Bet Rivers kind of have a little bit of an edge when it comes to the tech and actually making sure that things are working properly, that there are the functionality, things are moving quick, all these things. So I do respect what Crab Sports is doing. It is something to keep an eye on, but make sure to check out the full details of it on mdbetting.com. Thank you guys for tuning into this. As I mentioned, make sure to check out mdbetting.com, taking advantage of the biggest promo codes you can get. There's a ton of other reviews on this channel as far as sportsbook reviews and what to expect, as well as a ton of other awesome stuff on the website as a whole. So thank you guys once again. We'll talk soon.